Io refers to a moon of Jupiter known as the most volcanically active world in the solar system. Eros is a near-Earth asteroid, meaning it orbits within a region of the solar system close to Earth. God communicated messages to a Colombian woman since the year 2000. The messages describe what will happen to planet Earth before the Great Warning or illumination of conscience. The private revelation is so precise that it even details how gases, waves, and chemical reactions will affect the Earth before the warning, as well as the spiritual effects that human beings will experience, all of which could already be happening. Here we will tell you what the prophecy says will happen physically and spiritually on Earth before the warning, so that you can judge whether it is already happening or not, and so that you know what events you should be vigilant about. We thank the forums of the Virgin Mary for this research article. Now, God used a woman named Beatrice to give the messages regarding the so-called Eros since the year 2000. According to these messages, the purification of the world will come through an astronomical event that will involve the Sun, the volcanic moon Io of Jupiter, a comet that will affect Io, the asteroid Eros, and finally the Earth. What will happen will be that Io will be affected by the Sun and will be hit by a comet that will cause it to break up. Those fragments will then hit the asteroid Eros of the asteroid chain. There will be a huge explosion that will affect the Earth, but then a piece of Eros will head towards the Earth and graze it, causing the 3 days of darkness. The effects on Earth of this astronomical event will begin mysteriously even before the visible impact of the comet that will break the moon Io. Those effects are a consequence of the increase in solar activity that would already be occurring. God allegedly says that the Sun will launch waves of radiation so intense that they will begin to affect the entire solar system. Some of those flares will be directed specifically to the volcanic moon of Jupiter, and what science will not see, according to prophecy, is that these waves will also affect the Earth before there are clearly visible material impacts. Some of the previous signs are solar radiation that burns the skin at certain times of the day, climate changes with cold where before there was hot, and extreme heat in cold areas, landslides in the Arctic and Antarctica due to weakening of volcanic activity in unusual areas, especially related to Iceland, Russia, and South America, increased drought, loss of salt in the sea, killing marine life, and partial darkening of the Earth's moon by gases and the presence of strange solar halos and rings of light in the sky. These signs would be a silent prelude and could already be in progress. And what are the spiritual impacts of this? Firstly, that the effects of sin impact the entire creation, as it says in Romans chapter 8, verse 22. The whole creation groans in labor pains, and that God is unleashing the same force on the entire solar system, as if it were a great cosmic warning. The signs of the warning are already beginning to manifest, although they are not recognized as such. In these messages, God reveals that Io will begin to emit helium, iodine, radon, and other gases before it explodes. The helium will become visible as an intense blue light. Iodine will be the most lethal according to the messages. Before the collision with the comet, the Earth will begin to be affected by air ionization. The environment will become denser. There will be unexplained fog and loss of visibility, causing eye pain from solar radiation. There will be persistent dry coughing with no clear clinical cause. Many people will experience failure in the immune system caused by invisible vapors and strange psychological effects, such as anxiety, paranoia, and dark thoughts. God allegedly warns that these signs will not be understood by science because they will not see a relationship between what happens on Io and what happens here on Earth. What does science say today? The curious thing is that there is already talk of a solar maximum that was brought forward. NASA and other organizations have reported that the Sun has entered a phase of high activity much earlier than expected, and that in February 2024, the Keck telescope detected simultaneous eruptions on Io, something that has not been seen for years in Iceland since the end of 2023 and more intensely in April 2025. There have been recurrent volcanic eruptions with fractures in the ground and accumulation of gases. Could this be a sign of the prophecy? In addition to physical manifestations, there will be spiritual signs that may already be manifesting. The Lord told Beatrice that before the warning, humanity would suffer an almost total loss of common sense, of natural reason, of conscience and faith, and in fact, this is what we are seeing. Widespread moral confusion where good is called evil and evil is called good. We are seeing destruction of innocence and children promoted even from educational institutions, abandonment of the true God and emptying of the churches and discrediting of the faithful clergy. We see an increase in esotericism and occultism, even among Catholics, and social persecution of those who defend the truth. All this configures the environment prior to the most visible intervention of God. One of the most striking aspects of the prophecy is that it says that NASA and the other scientific agencies will detect the signs in the Sun and Eros, but they will not believe in the prophecy, and when they already detect the most important astronomical events, such as the collision of fragments of Io with Eros and see the fragment of Eros heading to Earth, they will try to save humanity by human means such as missiles, explosion magnets, and lasers. They will even make a nuclear weapon against the asteroid Eros, but everything will fail. Their actions will only generate more fragments and chaos. When they see that they cannot avoid the disaster, science will give up and some scientists will pray publicly. It will be the moment when many recognize that only God can save us. The Io message does not announce these things to generate fear, but to invite conversion, and they say that God asks for 5 things. Pray the rosary every day, be in a state of grace, confess frequently, avoid sin and scandal, and consecrate yourself to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. Also, prepare the home with blessed candles, holy water, basic provisions, and a space for family prayer. Well, up to here, there are the signs that would be on Earth before the warning according to the prophecy of Io Eros, and that perhaps they could already be present now. Finally, we would like to know what you think about these alleged prophecies. We would love to read your comments, and I would like to ask you if from now on you will look more frequently for the presence of these signs or not. Blessings, and may the Lord enlighten you to see the signs of the times. Amen.